thought I would just take you through my journey with YouTube, and then learnings and things that how we've kind of managed to monetize the Suzelle DIY channel, which we started together, and how we've leveraged off that channel and gone on to create other projects based on the success and the audience that we've built from our YouTube channel. So I used to actually be a 3D animator many years ago, and I was working in post-production, but I had this really strong desire to start directing. So about 12 years ago, I made a short film. It was called Gandalf Cleans Up Cape Town. Lord of the Rings was really hot topic at that time. So a friend of mine dressed up as Gandalf, and we ran around Cape Town with a video recorder, mini DV, and we filmed this thing called Gandalf Cleans Up Cape Town. And because I was working in a post-production company, every time people would come in and ask for MP3s, which this is back in CD days and USB stick days, I would just pop this short film, Gandalf Cleans Up Cape Town, onto the disc. And in doing so, it kind of went viral pre-YouTube days, which is insane. So, it was big in Stellenbosch University, and everyone suddenly knew about this thing called Gandalf Cleans Up Cape Town, and it really helped people kind of know about me and that I was transitioning into being a filmmaker. And then I went overseas for a year, and then I came back and someone was like, oh, that short film that you made, it's on this thing, it's online, it's on this thing called YouTube. So I was like, what the hell is YouTube? So on I go to YouTube. This is the first video I ever watched on YouTube, and it was my short film, which is just so insane. I'm not going to show you the whole 8 minutes, but I did want to just show you little segments of it.
I sensed a sadness in the bridge. It called out to me, and I responded. Hello, Oceano Hemicha. Allah, summer helps I release you from the spell.
Yeah, so that was one of the many things that Gandalf cleaned up in Cape Town. If you want, you can go and watch it. It's got 36,000 views. And this was uploaded probably by one of the kids in Stellenbosch University. So this was the first video I watched on YouTube. It turns out it was also the first video that fellow Sunbro also watched on YouTube. And then I kind of went on YouTube, no one was sure what it was at the time, but web series was the big buzzword. So I went on and made a web series with a friend's band. They're called Ginsberg and Herman, and we released 3 episodes, and they got a lot of love and attention, but then suddenly it died. There was nothing else that came from it. And so that was my first experience with YouTube, realizing actually wait, if you've got 3 things to put out, it's not enough. It's not going to keep people going. And then this led me on to do another web series called Witch Doctor Watts, which was about a witch doctor, but actually he's just a GP, but he practices witch doctor stuff. And this was commissioned by a blog called Two Oceans Vibe, which was big about 8 years ago. And so we made another web series, and I wanted to show this also because if you're familiar with the Suzelle stuff, you can see the beginnings of the style kind of come through. So that was him trying to make a potion to make one of his patients' penis bigger. So that was another experience, my second experience with YouTube World, and another realization where actually this was quite high budget stuff. We had built a set and we'd got actors. And I was this doesn't work. This is not the way to use YouTube. So then I kind of went into directing TV commercials and music videos, and I kind of stayed away from YouTube for a couple of years. And Vimeo became a big thing, and everyone was chasing Vimeo staff pics with making short films and putting it up on that platform. And then around this time, I met Julia. And Julia was someone who, we had a mutual friend, and the mutual friend was you got to meet this girl because she's so creative and she's so funny. And I would find out later he was saying the same stuff to her, and he was really selling me to her. And he was you guys would just make so much stuff together. You got to get together. So the timing kind of worked out, and at some point Julia and I started dating. And then a year and a half went by, and I was like, shit, I always thought that we would make stuff together, you know, and we haven't really, like, we're just kind of hanging out all the time and, like, watching series. And then Julia had this accent that she used to, like, do around the house. This Afrikaans character that was like so endearing, and we really loved her, and we're like, okay, well, what can we do with her? So we decided, let's make a movie, and we were going to go to Arniston, and she was going to play a girl called Jennifer who like works in a fish shop, so we're going to call it Jennifer Arniston. And so we went there and we started shooting stuff and like writing scripts, and then it like got to the point where like filmmaking's really hard, and to get a film launched it takes a lot of time, and we got very like impatient. We're like, well, what can we make right now using what we have right here? I had a 7D at the time with like a kit lens, and we had a wall in our flat painted pink, and Julia is really good at DIY. So we kind of just started this channel, like, and Julia used the character, and we named her Suzelle. And I was still very much like, I don't know so much about YouTube, but around this time, Instagram had just launched Instagram videos, which were 15 seconds. So and everyone was like all over Instagram video. So we're like, let's make these DIY episodes and keep our names off the project. So when people discover it, they're like, oh, this is a real person called Suzelle. And it kind of would start a conversation, and people would start sharing it kind of because they liked the content. But then there was also this interest around it, like, is this shit real? So this is the first video we made, and this was like using the Instagram format to make it. Whoa.
How to drill a hole without making a mess. Bucket, piece of tape, stick the bucket to the wall. Another piece of tape, we are ready to drill. All the dirt is going inside the bucket. There's it. DIY, because anybody can.
So what's interesting about this is that the 15-second Instagram format actually helps us define the style of Suzelle, because we had to like jam so much stuff into it. And I remember when I was editing to the audio of it, not necessarily the picture. So I would just get like all the audio bits that I needed, and that created this like very jump cutty kind of like fast-paced style, which worked really well on Instagram, especially when you're like scrolling through. And then someone was like, why didn't you put this on YouTube? And I was like, well, YouTube, I'm not sure. Like, you know, I haven't had like the best, I've had a lot of disappointments with YouTube. So we were like, well, what the hell? Let's make them for Instagram. We made the 15-second cut downs, and then we made slightly longer versions for YouTube. We started uploading it, and very quickly it like gained traction, and we were sharing it on Facebook, and we were sharing, like, our moms were commenting and friends like that, and then soon like other people were commenting, and we were like, oh, people seem to be like enjoying this. And the big thing was Julia and I were enjoying it, and we were still just like the two of us kind of doing it on the weekends. And we kept making episodes, and they slowly started to get more and more traction. And then on our 12th episode, it's probably the one that most of you saw, was how to make a braai pie. And really, this was just like the 12th episode in the list of the ones we'd done. We never really thought it was like the best one or whatever, but this went like crazy viral within 2 days. And I've actually took a screen grab of our YouTube algorithm, like the graph. So this is basically like us for 3 months, just like flatlining. And then on the 13th of August, it kind of spiked, and then it spiked, and then in like 3 days, it like hit 100,000. And then things just got crazy. And actually, that was the point where like our lives changed forever, because suddenly we were like, okay, this is actually, we can monetize this, and this is a viable way to earn money. So we kept making more episodes, and we started to be strategic about the kind of episodes we'd make. So we'd make one like just in time for Valentine's Day, and then the internet would like grab it and be like, oh, it's Valentine's Day, here's a Suzelle episode. And when it was Christmas, we made Christmas episodes. And then also, if we knew there was some, like Tim Noakes was hot topic at one point, and so we were like, well, let's bring Tim Noakes onto the show, and everyone was talking about him and dancing or whatever. And then this one also went like insanely viral. This is like pre-algorithm days, where like we would get 150,000 views on like a video in one day, and it would always be featured on like the front page of YouTube's like landing page. These days doesn't happen like this anymore. Algorithms, or I don't know, whatever else is going on. But yeah, so we've since, this is like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, we've since made 100 Suzelle episodes. I've actually got like a montage of all the 100 episodes that we've done.
Why are you so excited, Suzelle? Marion? Because guys, this, what you are watching right now with your own eyes, is our 100th episode. Do the dance, Marion. How
How to make a braai pie. How to make avocado face mask. Leopard print bread. Slime. You'll need a box. Cheese. I love cheese. Some balloons. In a nail. Great. Painted. A fork and spade. Cookies. A craft knife. Some paint. Weeded and chocolate. Let's go. Not so fast, Marianne. Look at it. Burn, burn, burn. Yummy. Wake up. So stretchy. I'm not trying to be cute, guys. This is science. What am I? Stupid. Surprise! Have you got any ideas? I hate this thing. Keep going. Glitter bubble. Me, Mario. The cold out.
Fantastic.
Just eat it. Just eat it.
So beautiful.
Hi guys. Stunning.
Just jokes. No, Mario, it's so cold. Good boy.
Cheers.
That is so wow.
Cheers, Charlie.
Queen of the North.
Well, fuck. So maybe now the 100th episode, Mario can speak. DIY. 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 Because anybody can. This is right. Right. Love you guys. It is very nostalgic. Hi Marion. I actually cried. Some of those videos, it's 4 years ago, Marion. 4 years ago. I was a child.
So yeah, I just thought I'd address this because this is the biggest question we get asked as YouTubers, and the fact that we managed to like sustain ourselves through the channel is just the different ways that you can like monetize it, because it's not all, you're not just monetizing it from the YouTube channel itself. So one of the ways, especially for Suzelle, is live appearances. These are like corporate events. Suzelle gets asked to go to a lot of like kitchen teas, but then also like bigger corporate stuff too. We've made 3 books. Which has also really helped just to like create another stream of revenue, and we've made like t-shirts which we sell on our website. Suzelle's appeared in like a couple of TV ads. This was the Checkers one with her and Nathaniel. And then we also licensed a lot of the episodes to Comedy Central, which was great just to like, you know, from a monetary point of view, but then also like exposure-wise, it was great that it was like flighting on a satellite channel. And then the AdSense revenue, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, but it depends on what kind of month you've had. But when it comes to AdSense, I don't think it's something that you could really live off. Like, you would have to be averaging probably like 1 million views a video and probably putting out a video like once a week to really be able to like sustain a living from it, you know. And then social posts, like Suzelle posts stuff on Instagram, and this is normally like a link from videos which we do, which is the branded content. So we've done like a lot of work with different brands where we feature a brand very organically. The rule that we made was Suzelle's always going to show you how to do something, but then the product or brand is just like a part of that. It's just a detail of that. It's never like how to download the Uber app. It's like how to, you know, we'd find another way of positioning it, and then Uber would kind of slide in there. And this was like a YouCook collaboration. Suzelle's also like, we take the YouCook box and turn it into like a robot. So yeah, and so these are like brands that we've worked with over the last 4 years. We went through a very overwhelming time when Suzelle did like blow up, and we were like contacted by all the big corporates in the country all at once. And we were like, shit, how are we gonna, they all wanted to get involved, and they all were like, we don't want to interfere with the content, we just want to be a part of it. And we're like, okay, well, let's send like quotes out to these people, and like one of them's going to bite. And then they all bit. And the next thing we knew, we were like shooting back-to-back Suzelle episodes. All of them were branded, and it was like, it was amazing, but it was also scary because we didn't have anyone that we could like reach out to and ask what the process is involved. How much do you charge for something like this? And then we were also just apprehensive that like suddenly we'd gone from being very organic or very like, it was all Suzelle's own content, and now everything coming out was sponsored, and we were like, shit, we're going to kill ourselves here. But no one really seemed to notice, and no one really seemed to care. So, and I think the reason that happened was because we made sure that we were like always staying true to the character. And Suzelle never like sold out in a sense of suddenly she was like behaving differently or using a product that she wouldn't normally use. Everything organically fitted into the way that she would like use a product. And if she had to use a drill, then it could be a Bosch drill. Or if she had to, go and sell something, it would be Gumtree. But we managed to like weave it in, and I think the fact that we created this like format, this DIY showing you how to do something format, actually really allowed brands to plug in a way that didn't compromise the integrity of the channel or of Suzelle's character. And then I just thought, I was kind of just going to go on to talking about like working with brands. I don't know how many guys here, like YouTubers, like have worked with brands or are wanting to work with brands, but it is something that can be like a scary thing to do because brands want quite a lot from you, and you have to really be strong and like push back. And you'll find actually you're in a very strong position being able to do that, because if they want to get involved with your content, they're going to have to like listen to the way that they're going to want it. You have to tell them what your process is. And I think it's up to you to know what your process is, so that when an offer comes through, like, well, this is the way we do it. Like, for example, we never let people come to set when we're shooting, which is me also being in the commercial world. Whenever we shoot ads, like the agency comes to set, the client comes to set, they all sit in Video Village, and that's just the way commercials are run. And then when it comes to creating content, they're like, cool, let us like send us a call sheet and let us know what time to come. And we're like, no, that's not how it works. Like, we'll send you an edit, and then you'll see it on YouTube. So yeah, just keeping it authentic, like staying true to the character is the most important. And we often ask ourselves, what would Suzelle do? Like, would she engage with a brand like this? Like, does this feel right for her? And if it does, then we can proceed and we can make it work. Like, would Suzelle shop at Checkers? She absolutely would shop at Checkers. So that's an alignment that makes sense. And then I just thought more like practical stuff, which kind of we've had to learn like the hard way, is like get a manager, okay? But if you can't get a manager, just pretend to be your own manager. And you can do this very easily. I just think like having a separation of you and the man is very important to have, because it's very hard to negotiate for yourself. But if you've got someone in between, and it can even be someone who is just like responding to emails and maybe like speaks on the phone. We brought someone on board quite early who we could tell had the capacity to become like a manager producer, and we would just like we would just tell her what to say to these people, and she actually grew and became like a really good manager and very strong and firm and being able to say no. But I do think it's very important. And then another thing is get a lawyer. There's a company in Cape Town we use called Legalese. They specialize in entertainment law. They're really good, and they can just like go read all your contracts for you. We've had really bad experiences with not having read a contract properly and sold something to a corporate that like we didn't realize we were selling, or giving them more license over our material than we anticipated. And then just making sure to pad up the sponsored content with like your own authentic content, just so it doesn't become like a whitewash of like all sponsored and branded stuff. And then just with regard to like, if you do get asked to be like the face of a brand, another lesson we've learned the hard way is like, once you are known as the face of a brand, you can never get away from that no matter what. And I'll just share very honestly what happened to us. And this is like, Suzelle, we did a lot of work with Checkers, and it was great at the time, and it like gave us exposure, and they sponsored a lot of episodes, and Suzelle was in a Checkers commercial. But now 5 years later, we don't do anything with Checkers, and we have a book, and we want to put the book in Woolworths, and Woolworths are like, no, like Suzelle's the Checkers girl, like we can't stock her books. And this is the kind of thing which like follows us around like 5 years later. It's the same as like Francois Pienaar's The Lay's guy. He'll never get away from that. And so had we known this, like in the beginning stages, we would have made sure that what we had charged for doing a deal like this would have been way more lucrative, and made sure that like it was going to oversee, the fact that we could never work with another supermarket chain ever again. So that was a very hard lesson learned, but we've taken it into working with other brands, and and we've got a new character with Tali Babes, and we've been like really protective over that character and made sure that if we are going to associate with any kind of brand that's big, it has to really be worth it, and there has to be longevity in the relationship. It can't just be like cool a commercial that's going out for a month, because as I said, you'll just never get away from that. And then leveraging off your YouTube success, so then just like we've been lucky to be able to create content and make things outside of the Suzelle YouTube channel. And this actually came about because like 3 years of doing Suzelle, we were like oversaturated. Like all we had done was Suzelle, and it was like insane. And then Julia had another character, and we started playing around with that, and then we shot a pilot, which would later become Tali's wedding diary. And so the way this happened was like we had created a really strong proof of concept, but then when we went to Showmax with the proof of concept, we weren't just going with that. We were going with an audience that we had already like grown and nurtured, which was really attractive to them, because what we offered them was like an opportunity to plug into 130,000 subscribers, which we had at the time. And so that's kind of what really helped like get us through the door and made us like we were in a position that was really strong versus the other guys that were coming in to pitch, because they didn't come in with their audience. So growing and nurturing your audience is like a hugely valuable thing, and it'll lead to other opportunities where you can walk in the door, and it's not just you walking in the door, you're walking in with like a whole community of people that are like got your back, So I don't know if everyone's familiar with Tali's Wedding Diary, but I thought I'd just show the trailer that this was a mockumentary that they made with Showmax.
Gonna take some photos for Insta.
Tali?
Babe?
Tali?
Babe?
Tali.
Oh my God!
I have loved you since the moment that I saw you. I cannot imagine loving someone as much as I...
Let's go back, because I've got to film this.
My name is Tali Shapiro. I grew up in Jersey, but I live here now.
We engaged! Again. We're engaged! Wedding documentaries are huge in Australia. You get a wedding video on the day of your wedding. What about the build-up? What about the whole journey?
Just my eyes are closed in that photo, so...
No, they're not.
So I'm a financial advisor by trade, but property's my game. And we have liftoff. Being new to Cape Town, I'm not the biggest connector yet, which is why I've got my boy Rail here.
Rail Rosen.
Because he's been here for longer.
Let's do this. Any questions? Sorry, just a quick one. Who owns the property?
Time to make it Facebook official.
Gabby and Daniel got engaged.
This photo is way better than ours. We can't post ours now. Nobody finds out about our engagement until I find a way to top this.
I'm planning a wedding and I'm just super stressed out. Look at the numbers. I'm not even losing any weight.
Wow, sorry to interrupt on your engagement party, Gabby.
We are going to rebrand the wedding.
Who books a wedding venue 2 years in advance?
Everyone, Darren.
Everyone, Darren.
It's true, Darren. Everyone.
Tali, this is your mother speaking, and I'm actually very worried about you right now.
The whole wedding is Darren. It's my special day. My spirit animal is a butterfly.
Just like my spirit animal is a wolf,
No, babe. No. You're not a wolf. Your arms and legs are much too short to be a wolf. You're more like one of those little... What's it? Honey badgers. They're so cute.
Cool, thanks. So we took like learnings from having created the character of Suzelle with Tali Babes, and we started an Instagram account, and Julia just started posting. Actually used this as a way to like help her develop the character, because she was super anxious going into the project that Suzelle was so established, and now she was going to appear as another character, and it wasn't as strong and developed. So she actually started this privately as like just shooting little videos to help her kind of get to grips with the character and feel confident with her. And then on set, she was posting like a lot, and then this account just kind of took off organically. I think an article came out letting the public know that we were doing Tali's wedding diary, and they linked it. And very quickly, like people were watching Tali Babes on Instagram, and people knew the show was coming out, and like people actually thought this was the show. Like my mom's friends at the hairdresser would be like, "Oh, we've watched Tali Babes already," you know, like the show hadn't even come out yet. But it was great because it created a lot of like excitement, and it let people know about the character before we launched the show. And then this is kind of how we leveraged off our current Suzelle audience. We invited Tali onto the Suzelle show, and this was a way to let like all our subscribers know that there's this new show.
How's guys? It's me, Tali. How are you? Guys, as you can see, I'm in a DIY studio. That is because I'm with Suzelle today. She's making a cake. So beautiful.
Hi guys, it's me, Suzelle. Oh gosh. I'm
Anyway,
making
just
such
wanted
a
to say
stunning
how's it,
cake
guys, and
today
I love you so
in the
much,
studio.
okay?
I'm having such
Bye.
a love, such a wonderful time. I love you so much.
I know so much about social media.
I know. Of the 85,000 followers. Okay. And now about Instagram.
How's the cake going?
So yeah, and they're like leveraging off of Suzelle, and that also like, you know, when Suzelle started happening, we wanted to control it all and make sure that we were like producing and controlling the content. And so we started Sketchbook Studios as a production company, which for the first few years was just doing Suzelle, but it's since grown and evolved into a production company now where we are being approached by other brands and advertising agencies to, you know, make things from even traditional stuff from TV ads through to online digital series and a lot of like online content, which has been great. And so, yeah, so we do all kinds of things, and then we also have other long form projects and other YouTube characters and things that we want to develop, and we're kind of developing it all in-house through Sketchbook. And last year we started a weekly vlog which kind of showed the behind the scenes of what was going on. This was like an itch that I felt like I personally needed to scratch, just because like vlogging kind of became like quite a big thing about 2 years ago, I don't know, but like, and we just thought as like trying to establish ourselves as like leaders of online content. We felt let's do something within our company as well, and this was also strategically a way for people to get to know about Sketchbook Studios because they knew about Suzelle and Tali, but it was important that Sketchbook like came to the forefront. So we went back to YouTube as a way to like promote ourselves, and we made a video every week for a year, which was great. And like we developed a following, and the videos got a lot of engagement. But then after a year, it was just like I was basically doing it all, and it was just I couldn't focus on all the other things going on. Like every weekend having to edit and relive what had happened in that week was actually making me like insane. So we capped it after a year, but we may still go back and revisit this in a different capacity, maybe bringing on someone to help with the vlog. But this was like a really fun project and a great way to get our names out there and to actually show people like behind the scenes and share information about like what we do. I wasn't going to like show you guys a vlog episode, but you're welcome to go onto Sketchbook's YouTube channel and check it out later.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, and that brings me to the end of the talk, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found value in some of the things that we've learned. And yeah, I'm happy to take any questions. Good question. Google is probably our professional DIY consultant here, and Pinterest. But Julia Suzelle she is really good at DIY. Like she does all of those things. She is that way inclined. So all the early videos, all those hacks, they were her hacks. They were things that she used to do in an unusual way. So the character is very much like her. Yeah. I've actually invented my own editing software. Okay. And sound and... No, I'm kidding. Okay. We use what everyone uses. We use like Adobe Suite for everything. So we edit on Premiere. I've edited on Premiere my whole life.
Okay.
And we started off shooting on like a 7D camera with a kit lens. We never had any lights. We'd just like wait till the sun was at the right point through the window and then like shoot within 2 or 3 hours. But then when we started working with brands and we started to like up the production value of the videos, then we improved the camera, and then we like got some LED panels in, and we got like paper backdrops. And we keep the frame very considered, and you know, that's it. Yeah, we're not using like, now we've upgraded to like an FS7. We shoot the episodes on that, and that is more of an expensive camera. Yeah. And we shoot 4K. And we've got like a studio space, and lights are rigged. Like I don't have to, you know, so we have progressed to a point where we are using kind of more professional equipment, but you can achieve this with equipment that is within your means. So in that, what you saw there, Julia's hair was still blonde, and then when she became Suzelle, she uses brown hair to like build up the beehive, and then she had brown hairspray, which she would spray her hair brown. So we shot everything with Tali first, and we had Julia's sister actually as like a double for where Suzelle would be, and then she got dressed as Suzelle and sprayed her hair brown, and then she'd always have to like wash it out at the end of the day. But now her hair is brown, and it's hard to go blonde, but she did buy a wig 2 days ago, and that will be our secret. So the vision is still between Julia and I.
Okay.
And we do have people that work for us now, and we obviously are very open to like ideas and suggestions about whatever creative projects we're working on. But it is important that someone has a vision. And so Julia and I do agree on we have a shared vision just instinctively and naturally together. And then we'll kind of filter down that vision to the people that work with us. And that's how we kind of move forward and create stuff. And then just like balancing monetary stuff with creative stuff is quite tough. Like I find you got to really set time aside, like allocate your day in a way that, for example, like now I only check emails like twice a day. Like, because I'll get in the morning and do like an hour of emails and then make sure that the rest of that morning I'm just focusing on writing or developing stuff or whatever creative thing I might be doing. And then I'll check emails again in the middle of the day and respond. And that just gives me like the focus that I need to focus on those because otherwise you can spend the whole day just on emails, So you got to watch out for that stuff. But it's a challenge. You got to be quite disciplined. Okay. Is this going to go on YouTube, Mikey?
Yes, it's going to go on YouTube.
So, it's looking like it will be next year, towards the end of next year. Okay. But I can't guarantee anything yet. We are in talks, though, and we are having conversations about it. Okay. But nothing is confirmed. Okay. But we're hopeful.
Okay, cool.
Okay, well, firstly, with Suzelle stuff, we own everything. We licensed it to Comedy Central, but that was a licensing agreement, and they don't own any of that. With Showmax, they own Tali's Wedding Diary. They own all the IP. And that was the first conversation we had with them, or they had with us, like when we went in there. They were, and that is actually worldwide, the way that networks work, except for the BBC, except for the UK, actually. The networks there, they're all government funded, and that there's a law against them owning your IP. But in South Africa, and like say Netflix owns Stranger Things, like they own that IP, and they own Tali's Wedding Diary. They don't own the character of Tali though, because Julia just felt very strongly that it was her. Like, how can someone own her? So we work that. So we managed to come to an arrangement where we own Tali and we can do stuff with Tali, but they own the format rights, they own the characters, the other characters, and the style And it's a very tricky negotiation to make with broadcasters because they want to own it all. And if you say, and actually from our side, like at that time, we were thinking Tali's Wedding Diary might be another YouTube channel. So when the opportunity to make a TV show with Showmax came about, I was like, dude, I would have like, if they were like, can we take your foot? I would have been like, or a pinky toe. I would have been like, yeah, like I don't need all my toes, And so at the time with the IP, I was like, okay, well, I just really want to make a TV show, so whatever it takes. But then in hindsight, it is something that, I would just be very careful of in the future. If I'm going to make more stuff with other networks, I would really fight for owning your own IP. One thing that I don't know if I want to say don't have the goal of going viral, but it's very hard to not have that goal. But I do think it's important to make stuff that you really feel is good and that you're happy with. And sometimes, I look back on those failures that I had, and I don't know, maybe it was a mixture of like the timing not being right, but then also some of it just like wasn't good enough, And I think you just got to be able to recognize when something isn't working, but then pivot accordingly and move on to like the next stepping stone. because you'll eventually get to a few stepping stones, you'll look back and it'll be like a perfectly plotted journey that you'll be like, oh my God, that had to happen that way for me to get here. And I just have that philosophy, I think, in my life, where all my failures I just see as like, oh, well, that led me to this thing and to that thing. And to, like, your life is basically like a beautifully written book when you look back on it. So I just think recognize if something isn't working and don't be scared to pivot and start something else.